Hey there, Mike Dunn with Gamingtrend here at Gen Con 2024 at the Japanime Games booth. And we've got Justin Gary, who I was surprised to see over here because we've talked to him over at Stoneblade. He's actually been doing a card game with Japanime Games, and he's going to tell us about it. Justin, what is Oshi Push?
Yeah, it's been really exciting. Obviously, most of the games I do are with Stoneblade, but I love to partner with great people like Eric and the team at Japanime.
Yeah, you
And
got to mix it up a little bit,
yeah, and
right?
Oshi Push is definitely not something that we would do with Stoneblade because it's really part of this Japanime brand. They
Right.
have a VTuber-based trading card game. So
Okay.
VTubers was something I didn't know anything about when I first got started, but it's an awesome whole trend of people that are sort of anime-based influencers and have their content, and we built this whole game around them, and we really wanted to make it. I made a lot of trading card games, but we wanted to make something a little different, right? We don't want people casting spells and battling each other.
Right.
We wanted something that really felt like it made a lot of sense for the VTuber community. And so the Oshi Push, where people can pick their favorite VTubers and play as those characters, like you can see Pipkin and Pippa here.
Hold that up.
And the way it works is will go to the different platforms and you'll send your VTuber there and then start to create content on those platforms. And the more content you have, the more popular you are. You get enough popularity, you win that platform, which gets you followers. First person to 1 million followers wins. So it really kind of plays into this whole influencer VTuber thing, but there's a lot of classic TCG strategy that comes in trying to control these different territories and being able to win the influence that you want.
Okay, that theme is hitting a little close to home for me.
Yeah, exactly. For all the influencers out there in the content channels, you're like, okay.
Yeah, okay. Wow, I had no idea. That is so cool. Well, tell us a little bit about how the game works.
Yeah, so the basics of the game, you'll see your influencer starts, your persona, we call them in the game, starts with a certain number of money that they generate every turn, and they have a certain amount of base influence. And what you'll do is you'll alternate moving to one of the 3 locations, and both players have some of the channels, we call them, right? So you'll be like, maybe like YouTube or Twitch or whatever, or made up ones that we do, since we don't have those licenses.
Right.
And you'll go to those different channels, and you'll start creating content for those channels. And then at the end of each turn, there's a clash where you see, okay, which of you is the most popular at that channel, and you can have up to 4 players. But and so whoever has the most popularity at that channel the most influence at that channel wins the popularity there. And each channel has a certain amount of popularity you need to reach. First person that reaches that total wins that platform, and then that gets you a certain number of followers. And so it's a very the money you earn stores up from turn to turn, so you can store up and use that to play some really big, powerful content and bring in some guest stars and do some cool actions and kind of create some scandals for some of your opponents to help mess with some of their content. So there's a lot of really fun ways that we play, and we really wanted to be very true to the different characters. Like, these are real VTubers with their own followers.
Oh, wow.
And so you can collect like not only like foil and rare versions of those characters, but we also made sure the Japanime team is really great at making sure that we're using like real catchphrases from them and real events and some of their real content. So it really means to resonate with it. And we want people to have their favorite VTuber that they can really, when they play with it, they feel like it's their personality coming through. And you can customize and build your deck, so we instead of like colors like in a game like Magic or factions like in a game like SoulForge Fusion, each one has different types. So if your type of streaming is like gaming or music or just chatting or whatever, and then that creates the card pool that you're able to pull from. So we really try to build something that, like, if you're just a classic TCG player, you're gonna get this right away. It's functionally like a little bit inspired by things like Marvel Snap, right, where you're battling over different locations,
Gotcha.
right? But also, if you're not a traditional TCG player, it just feels right for the IP. You're just trying to gain influence on different channels, win popularity, and have this kind of fun, playful way to be able to use the iconic things from the characters that you know and love.
It definitely seems like you're aiming for a different demographic than you're used to, right?
Yes, certainly, and that's why it was a partnership with Japanime Games, right? Like, if I'm making, a game like Ascension or a game like, SoulForce Fusion, I know how to reach that audience. I know specifically where that is.
Right.
But I wanted to make what was a great gameplay, but that fit really well with the VTuber community and with this specific audience. And that's where the Japanime team is just the best there is in terms of like knowing this space and knowing these characters and knowing these people. So we worked very closely with them to make sure that, my job was to make sure there's a great game with like good strategy, easy to pick up, lots of interesting depth and complexity, and their job was to make sure that we were really true to each of these characters. And again, we're continuing to bring in, we're already working on set 3, we're continuing to bring in more and more of these like massive characters, these massive influencers to be able to be part of the campaign, and to make sure that they feel like they're not only involved in the creation process, so they understand what the cards are doing and that it feels right for them and their audience.
Oh, okay. Now, was this Is this out yet?
No, this is not out yet.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're showing a few pre-debut packs here. These are like some exclusive promo cards. In fact, maybe we'll even give you some if you want to give some away to some of your channel.
Oh, yeah,
because
that'd be
these
cool.
can't. These are only going to be available like pre-launch. We did a little over $500,000, I think, on the Kickstarter campaign earlier this year, but it will be actually out in early 2025. So we're just doing some promotion, showing off the game, getting people excited about it because again, there's nothing quite like this out there.
Right.
And so being able to reach both that audience, who's a very rabid fan base, but maybe doesn't have as much experience with TCGs, and be able to show this off to TCG players who maybe want a little break from the traditional Wizards and Warriors and whatnot,
Right.
but really have that still like fun strategy and kind of area control platform, platform dominance kind of thing.
Yeah. So when can people get this in their hands?
Yeah, so I don't have the exact launch date here, but it's going to be first quarter 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And it's going to come to retail, or is it going to
Retail, absolutely, yes. It's going to be. So we already did the crowdfund.
Oh,
already.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the crowdfund did very well.
Excellent.
So we know we've got a great audience. We know people are excited about it.
So it's locked in.
But
It is
yeah,
locked
yeah. Oh, it's. I mean, again, I said I'm working on set 3 right now.
Right,
Set
right.
2 is set 1. Set 2 is awesome. Like I know they're great. So we're working really far ahead. Japanime is putting a lot of resources behind the game, and so we just want to make sure that people know, like, nope, I'm here because I want you to know it's a real game with really good really good strategy behind it. In addition to these sort of cool characters and
Right.
having the collectability that comes with it.
Right. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds really cool. I had no idea. Yeah, just like you, I wasn't really. I'm an old dude.
Yeah.
Like though I bet you my kids would probably be like, oh yeah, we know all about that, right?
Yeah, it was. And when I first learned about it, I was exactly like you. I don't know how old that makes me here, but like I didn't know anything about it. But once I started learning about it and digging into it, I was like, oh wow, there's actually like there's a massive community of people. And one of my missions now is like I really want to be able to expand. Like obviously we've been gaming a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I love gaming.
Yeah.
I want to be able to expand it to more people, right? So I made a game
especially
called
the kids, man.
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
the
I've been if you stop by the Stoneblade booth, you can see we made a game called You Gotta Be Kidding Me, which is very much like a cat, adorable little like
okay.
loving card game. Which again, I want to be able to expand and bring in the community. And I think Oshi Push is a really great way to do that.
Well, awesome. Well, Justin, great talking to you.
Always
again.
a great way to
Thanks
talk
for
to you.
showing this to us.
Yeah.
Definitely check out, keep your eye on Gamingtrend for more Oshi Push and more goodness from Japanime Games. Not to mention more goodness from Justin Gary and Stoneblade.
I'll keep making games as long as people keep buying them.